Did Ace and Huda ruin the interview circuit for these Islanders postseason? We've got to get into this. Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8 postseason, and has Love Island decided to pull back press on the Season 8 Islanders because of Ace and Huda? We're going to get into that in a second, but we got a couple of updates regarding these Islanders, right? So, as you guys know, Brinity, we talked about, they did that really cool Today Show interview. Well, what has happened is Bryce's celebrity friends put together like a welcome home dinner that had like, I think at least 30 or so odd people that made TMZ. And it was at a very exclusive place in LA that apparently is hard to get into. And it was a nice like winter's dinner for Brinity. And then also Bryce got on the DJ, right? Got on and started DJing and everything else for the friends, right? So then as well, both Bryce and Trinity have since put out their post on social media, thanking the fans, thanking, cute stuff about each other and stuff. And on Bryce's page, Bryce and Carl seem to be the only two Islanders that are not really receiving a lot of backlash, a lot of hate, a lot of negativity, that sort of thing. What Trinity decided to do was she decided to limit her comments on her post because of, all of the things that are happening. Because I think they saw what happened to Anaya's comment section with all the racism, all the negativity, the gorilla emojis, all that stuff. So Trinity and even her sister came out and said, listen, look at here. My sister did this because there's a lot of stuff. So it was smart on Trinity's part that she could just focus in on the love. Now, what people are kind of having discourse about, but I don't really feel that there needs to be any, is that in her post, she pretty much tagged everyone except for Saul, the Saul of it all, and also KC. But I believe she knew her and Casey are following each other. It is a possibility Casey's tags are off. She did include him on a final picture of her slide deck, but she's basically included every cast member on this show with the exception of Soul and didn't tag Casey, but I don't know why there's discourse over that. Also, Sincere has done a post as well. It didn't say too much on him and Melanie. Apparently, he's doing a lot of talking on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, he did a post that basically was like, thanks for the memories. I had a great time. It seems like the core four, you know what I'm saying, are showing him love in the comments and all this and all that. And, he's kind of just playing this like, hey, I see everything. It's no big deal to me. I'm just going to take this in stride. I don't know if y'all know the streamer Jay Cinco and his girl Lala, but they've both, are all like, hey, we're going to see you Thanksgiving and all of this and all that. Although they did an interesting couple name that made zero sense to me. I have no clue what they were, talking about. We talked about yesterday that Anaya was invited to, you know what I'm saying, by Disney, her and Carl, to have their fairy tale experience and all the things. And so also North Face had been trying to get a hold of Anaya as well. And it sounds like that connection might have been made as well because Anaya was reposting on the Tickety Talk an edit that a fan made of Anaya doing North Face, and North Face was in the comments like we're trying to get a hold of her and all this and all that. And I believe now they might be following each other as well. So be on the lookout for that. I think what is happening potentially first is Anaya securing her team and then can, get in the process, put these brand deals in the works, all of this and all of that. She's also following Jimmy Fallon. I don't know whether or not Brinity and Karnaya are going to make that appearance or not. Also, Love Island USA, the official account, is requesting for you guys to submit questions in their Instagrammy stories for the reunion. I don't know how messy this reunion is going to be or not, because I was looking on their app and they also had questions on the reunion as far as like who's going to have the most to answer for, who are you interested in seeing the most, like rank these islanders. And I feel like we potentially are not going to have as much drama, that they're going to try to do softball questions. I don't know. Like I feel like this reunion is not going to be what we are expecting it to be. But it sounds like they might be filming it soon, within the next few weeks, if they are in fact, going to be asking for questions, Neil. That would indicate to me that the reunion is coming soon, just like they had asked us what clips we would like to see for movie night, and then it eventually, had happened within the next few days. So, the reason that you guys are here is because what has happened is, I don't know if y'all noticed that it is a quiet press week. That it is a quiet press week as far as, not too many interviews with these Islanders. Now, I could argue that we saw a large press circuit, with the dumped Islanders, but the last dumped Islanders that really were doing a lot of interviews was Corbin. And really, I feel like Dylan has done more interviews with Kenzie. The big interview that just happened was, of course, Kenzie with Caller Daddy. However, there's rumors, of course, that Zack Attack is going to be on the Vile Files, but we are not hearing anything about any of these finalists. Usually, we get like a press run of like Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, E! News, all these publications, all of the quote-unquote approved, Peacock publications for these Islanders to do press. And I feel like what potentially is going to happen, if we do not see anything this week with any interviews, that they're going to wait till the week of the reunion, the last week in August or whatever the case may be, for the cast to come back together and do press that way to promote the reunion, or potentially hold off until after the reunion for people to do interviews as well, because it sounds like they want to save any potential drama or any potential conflict or any potential issues until that reunion, is what it sounds like to me. And I hope that they made it mandatory that the entire cast is watching back the show. Now, apparently Sol and Amora, they're still talking mess on the internet, and they need to be on their Jen type of steez. And seeing how Jen played nice with everybody in her postseason interviews, and now she's getting these brand deals. Now she's racking up these brand deals. Her and Caleb are apparently flirting in the comments, and I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't pursue things while they were in the villa. Yes, when you come in together as bombshells, you're not allowed to pursue each other. But then after the next recoupling happens, you guys are allowed to pursue each other if you do not find a connection with other people or whatever the case may be. But I don't understand this flirting in the comments. It doesn't sound like to me that Caleb and Jaden are together, but I knew that on the After Sun appearance when Caleb was asked about Jaden. Jaden was asked first and made it seem like because all of a sudden her friends like them together, she all of a sudden wanted to have interest in him again and saw his motion and wanted to invite him as a +1 to her friend's wedding. But then when the question got directed back to Caleb, Caleb was like, well, listen, look here, I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I gotta see what's going on. I gotta check my DMs. I gotta check my motion. And he realized he didn't need to be with Jaden because y'all have made him the most followed man. And he, you know what I'm saying, gave us nothing on the show. So there's that. But back to, what has happened. did Huda and Ace ruin this, right? Because when Huda went on Call Her Daddy, you know what I'm saying? She had all the smoke and basically implied that Shelly and Alandria were bullies and made her isolated. And this is somebody that obviously lived with these ladies for 6 weeks, knew what happened on the show, but you came out immediately to your fans' interpretation of things, your fans' glazing of things, and giving some alternative facts, and it led to a whole new hate train against Shelly and Alandria. And then, of course, we have the Ace interview that also, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, trying to say without saying that Nico Alandria is fake and all this and all of that. And it created this whole firestorm and all this backlash and all this negativity and additional hate trains and everything else that existed. And it just was not a good look. So I feel like, you know, according to the Vile Files, they said that, you know, allegedly Love Island USA has pulled back on their press requests, their press credentials for several podcasts, for several interviews for the Islanders. And that potentially is why you saw a lot of Islanders go home, with the exception of the winners, Brinity. But keep in mind, Bryce does live in Los Angeles. He does live in Cali, right? And then you see Zack Attack and Kata, who are still hanging out in Los Angeles, because Kata has not been back in New Hampshire, you guys. So I think potentially they pulled back this press because of Huda and Ace. Basically, Love Island wants to be the ones to, you know, control which interviews and press that the Islanders can do. And I think they want to save, if there's any issues, if there's any beef, if there's any drama, they want to save it so that they have it for themselves at the reunion. And then probably after the reunion, these Islanders will be allowed to then go do interviews and go on podcasts and all of this and all of that. I don't think it's going to stop people's motion, because I feel like ultimately, if you're the finalist, if you're the core four, you're going to be Gucci no matter what, right? I think Melanie is taking much needed time to decompress from the show. I don't know if she's watching the show back or not. It sounds like she's been spotted a couple of times in Malibu, California. However, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, if Sincere's with her or not, or if Sincere's gone back home, or what all of this is entailed, or potentially she could be putting her team together before she starts getting active on social media. But it is definitely interesting to see how everyone is moving post-show, and this is what happens when you do not cast influencers to be on this show. When you cast people with real lives and real jobs and real families and all the things, they're all going to go back home to mom and dad, to their support system, and then plan out strategically how they want to do this, how they want to, you know, if they want to be influencers or not, if they want to take advantage of some of the brand deals, of some of the opportunities, or if they just want to lay low and go back to, you know, their regular lives. This is completely different from season 7, who got an Airbnb together in Los Angeles and was doing all those live streams together in the midst of Huda setting everything on fire in the Call Her Daddy interview. You know what I'm saying? But they did a lot of press, and some of those places are filmed in Los Angeles, some of those studios for those podcasts, but a lot of these interviews, you technically can film it anywhere via Zoom. But I found that very interesting, that this is a very quiet press run compared to last season. And even we had a lot of the dumped Islanders do some press, but it wasn't as much compared to last season. And I'm just wondering if it's because of the Huda and the Ace of it all, that they do not want any controversial interviews or any controversial sound bites that, you know, potentially can mess up the integrity of the show. Because the other side with Ace is he basically alluded to, quote unquote, special forces, special influences, which is basically calling out production. The production made me do this, production made Taylor do that, this and that. And I think, you know, what has happened is, you know, Love Island has basically said, listen, I don't want these Islanders to do press unless it is press that we've approved for, we've authorized, and we'll do our own press rollout as it's closer to the reunion time or shortly after the reunion time. And then after the reunion airs, the Islanders are free to do whatever they want, or they might have them in a 360 deal that you still can't do interviews after. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But very interesting, you know, because I could get the vibe. I'm like, do these Islanders just not want to do interviews, or are they being told not to do interviews? Now, I feel like in the case of some of these Islanders who are just receiving massive amounts of hate and racism and everything else, like Casey, TT, and Anaya, like no interviews right now. You know what I'm saying? The block is too hot. These people are doing way too much in the comments. But I feel as though, you know, even for Anaya and Carl, even if they just talked about their connection, even just like just runner up, not even having interviews was very weird. So I feel like everybody, it sounds like to me, everyone's on lockdown, and it sounds like people who are not in a finalist potentially can still go on podcasts and do stuff. But it sounds like for the final four, the production has really like locked down them doing anything for the sake and integrity of the show, and also saving whatever drama that they can ink out of the Islanders, save it for the reunion versus them going to talk to any of these publications. So that is it, you guys, for this video. I need y'all to do me the biggest favor, and that is to hype the video. Hype the video, please. There is that. That is it. That is all. It's Toto says now. It's Benito. It's the end of the road. It's the end line for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post a content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.